Hi, I'm Lel from Made by Marley. I'm a furniture artist. That's pretty much what I do. Are you trying to create a sort of whimsical, circus-inspired sort of piece and look on your furniture? I'm going to show you how I did it with some molds, some stencils and some decoupage paper. Keep watching. Okay, so this is the piece. This is one of my own personal pieces out of my own personal stash. This was not going to be for sale. Why was it not going to be for sale? Because I like this drawer. Anyway, it's a really nice piece. I am going to be doing, let's just say, a mix of whimsical meta circus, that sort of vibe. So what I've already cleaned it. There's the bucket and everything there. You should see the colour of the water. It's been washed. It just looks manky, and it is manky. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to coat it with some Annie Sloan's. What did I do with my glasses? It's a new studio, but it's the same pattern. Right, okay. I've got Annie Sloan's Old Ochre here. I've just using this tin because I need to fill my bottle basically. And I've got a little bit of Hornflower, which is brown, because I want a really mucky colour now. I'm going to get Matt to take the handles off in a minute, but I'm just going to, when you come back, it'll be done, the cream and the mucky brown. Why am I doing this? It's just basically a base coat because there's going to be so much colour going on here, but I need to start somewhere and I want to kind of even it out. It's been painted probably a long time ago with the wrong kind of paint. So, you know, I'm just making it. I'm just kind of setting it back to something that I can work with. Really, it's not gonna. My first coat is not gonna cover up any of these parts where it's been chipped. It's just to kind of get going. So imagine this on the whole piece, and I've got a little bit of Hornflower here. I just need tiny little touches of this. I'm just kind of, because this is actually going to be painted stripes. I mean, I'm doing this just now, just as a base coat.
Just to give it some tooth.
Yeah, I was going to do just paint it section by section, which is something that I would never usually do. But I thought, because there's going to be so many different parts to it, I thought, shall I do it that way or not? But I'm going to do it this way, just to make it a dirty, mucky brown before we put any colour on. Right, well, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, this doesn't look any better than it did before. This is just a coat to make my paint stick, okay? And the whole piece is going to be quite grungy, and I'm going to work with the grunge that I've put underneath as my base coat. So that kind of explains it. But I know right now, I'm going to be working on this section here, and I'm wanting a sort of dirty, mustardy yellow. That's what I want on this section first. Now, I've already got paint on my brand new carpet, yeah? I should bring over my little mustard mat. Martin's designed it so that I've got the hard standing for the furniture. I've got 2 layers of underlay and a layer of carpet for my bottom. So I am living my best life here. Right, so I've got tilting on my palette, which is a yellow. I've still got a little bit of the Hornflower brown over there. And I'm about to add a little bit of Rodmail, which is purple, which I'll show you on the mat. There you go. And I'm going to add it to this yellow to try and get more of a sort of mustardy. A mustardy colour. If you add purple to the yellow, you should get more of a mustard, a dirty sort of mustard colour.
I'm not really getting a good shot on that purple. Pass the camera, please.
Oh yes, I may. There you go.
There you go.
Rodmail, and you can tell it's purple because look at the mesh around the edges of the can. This is one of mine that isn't in my squeezy bottles, and it's always been a wee bit runny, this one, but I don't paint many things purple, but it's always good to add to your tilt and to get your mustard right. And that there is exactly what I'm looking for. More of a mustard, right? So I'm going to take my mustard colour.
Like magic.
Yes, it's like magic, man. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put this on, but I'm going to be mindful of putting some brown areas in it and kind of blending that through my paint. Now, if you need water, that's a good thing. Although right now, I don't know where mine is. I'm still working on, you know, trying to bed down in the studio. So things are still...
I know you brought it over.
I think you don't need to go and get it, Matty. It's fine. It was my water spray I was looking for. I had it yesterday. We'll get there. Things are still a little bit amiss. Yeah. It's a shame for poor Martin because we've got this place fine, but where he is in the stable now needs a whole load of work, and he's been left to do that because we have to keep going with this stuff. So he's got quite a mess to try and deal with. There, I'm just blending up.
I'll be quite happy in there doing it.
I said to him, do you want me to come across and help you? But he sounded quite disgusted. He went, no. I thought, oh, he's not wanting me in there.
No.
I already saw the tool hoarding that had been going on in here, and he calls me a hoarder. Whew. I mean, do you need 14 sets of screws?
Every one of those tools are very useful.
There was chainsaws in the drive. There was more. There was 3, I think, of those things that cut out shapes in the wood. There's the CNC machine, and I'm not even going into how much tools. Now, I don't blame him. That's his thing. And do you know what? He's been in here 14 years, so he's got a lot of stuff. But, oh, that's what took so long in the move. It really did. It was just...
Oh, yeah, it was my stuff. Yeah.
It was
my stuff.
My stuff came over really quickly, Martin, and you know it did. It came over quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, all of this happened just in an instant, didn't it?
Oh, you're a stinker. Go away. No, it didn't happen instantly, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm very grateful for everything you did. I can't do anything high, so Martin really was doing everything high.
It's good. Things like say, regular viewers will know that the ceiling in the old studio had the occasional leak.
Oh, yeah.
But I always said,
we'll
just put a big tarpaulin up on the inside of the roof there, or even on the outside of the roof.
Too ugly.
You know, to catch the water so it doesn't drip on anything. No, too ugly. Not having that. I need to have this wood and all the niceness and things.
Well, it's for photographs. I couldn't have a great big tarpaulin stuck to my ceiling.
First job I'm doing before I put my CNC in place and things like that. Great big blue tarpaulin on the ceiling.
I said to him, do you want me to come over and help make it nice? He went, no. He obviously isn't planning having a bougie space over there. It wasn't bougie in here. This place used to give me the absolute creeps. Everybody agrees that where I used to paint was the creepiest, but I didn't find it creepy. It was because it's way over the road, and I'm far away from the house, and all the creatures that crawl around at night. Everybody didn't like it. It was very cobwebby, which meant the big stringy cobwebs hung from the ceiling and stuff like that, which I didn't mind. But the kids thought this was less creepy, but I always thought this was the creepy one. I didn't like coming in here at night to switch the lights off.
Though, is it?
It's not creepy now, no. I've got candles lit. Now that is quite nice. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to let that dry. And once it's dry, I'm going to mask and tape some stripes off on this. And I've also cut out a sort of triangle shape for up the top, but I'll explain it as I go. But I've got to let this dry first. I think this is going to be really quite nice. This is looking quite the way I was looking for. I mean, if you think you need a little bit of a darker, you can add more of the purple colour and kind of, as what I'm doing here. I'm just adding some more purple just to kind of dirty it down in this edge. Anywhere where you think should be a little bit of hang on, I've got a bit yellow on there. If you think there should be a little bit more of a shadow, just put a little bit more brown on your brush and just whack that up in there, because the paint's wet, it'll move. I mean, I'm doing this without water. But if you find your paint's not moving or not blending, you'll need water. That's normally the sort of case. But because I'm layering this on quite thickly, so when I do this piece, I'm going to paint it all in sections. So I'm going to get on, dry this, and then we will put the stripes on. Okay, so I've went and done stripes with masking tape. I've said this before, it's the frog tape for delicate surfaces. I put it on, and this was I'm sure you've done stripes before, but I just used a piece of this to measure all the way along. I don't really go in for the whole, it's got to be this, that, and the other. That's just how I do it. Right, okay, so close enough. I've got some Emperor Silk here, which is a nice bougie red. Let's get some of that down there on our palette. Now, we want to be, again, grunging this up. So let's put a little bit of chocolate brown there as well. So let's kind of get the red and stick some brown in it to begin with. We'll come back with a brighter red in a minute. Now, this brush is quite wet, so let's just do this. I'm going to be doing this lip a different colour, so it doesn't really matter, and it doesn't matter about the top part either. And let's get this on. You want to kind of leave some parts because you want it to look like it's faded. Now I've just got the brighter red on my palette. As long as you're doing the edges, you're good, because that's the bit that's going to make it make sense. So A bit more of this sort of brown down here maybe, with a bit red. And I'm just kind of making this look kind of grungy as well, dirty, with shadows almost, because I'm putting the sort of shadowy dark, and then you can put the red in the centre like that. Put a bit more red in here, and that's all you're going to do for your stripes. I'm just going to go all the way along, doing exactly the same thing as you're seeing me do here. Doing my stripes, dry that off, and then I've cut out a diamond type template. How I did that was I measured across that way, and then I made my corners match up. When I first did it, it looked slightly off, so I just cut a bit off of it. But these are going to go here now. These diamonds are going to fit into here, along here where the stripe is. Okay, so I'll get on and do this part first though. Okay, so I'm just gently, because none of this is cured, just gently. I found this tape is the best for this kind of job. It just doesn't pull the paint off. I've never had it pull any paint off, so I use it when I'm doing that, but I normally just use the cheap masking tape for anything else. Now, I used to stick it to things over in the stable, and I'll find a place now to stick it, a new place. I'll probably stick it on the end of here, because you can use it again, because this tape is a little bit more expensive. Well, it's a lot more expensive than the cheap masking tape that you can buy in the pound shops, which I think is good enough for most jobs, but sometimes they just require a better tape, and I think this is one of those. I think my line goes slightly out there, but you know what? I'm not caring. Right, I think this is starting to look suitably vintagey circus. There we go. Now, I've got my stripes on. Now what I'm going to do is this is my mat. Before you see I pulled it out of my box. When I was cleaning out the mat and shed, I found a whole box of these pencils, the ones I really like, a whole lot. I went, woohoo! And he went, they're mine.
And guess where they are now?
No, they're not in here.
In here.
No,
yes, they're over there.
Yeah, but that's your tool bench. You need pencils. I'm not going to steal your pencil. This is mine. It's got my name on it. Right, okay. So I think I'll start at the lock, because I want to try, and if I run out, that's okay, because I'll know that. And what I'm doing now is I am going to be doing, now you could cut yourself out. I actually have a sort of, you could cut yourself out a stencil of this, and it maybe be a little bit easier, because I've decided to do this and then paint it in, but it's whatever way you think you're going to get the job done easiest and in the best way you can. So I had to fold the corner of my diamond over. It was slightly, I eyeballed it from over on the table. I wasn't actually near the furniture when I cut it out. I just thought that looks about right. and it is kind of just a slightly bit short. Right, so when it comes to the edges, we're just gonna have it coming in like that, like that. So you get the gist of what I'm doing. So I'm going to paint these in, and I'm going to paint these in a sort of greeny, darky, bluey, sort of tealy colour. That's not a great description. I'm going to make it in a minute, and you can see me mixing it up, and then that way it will become apparent. And we've got this little part in here again. So in and down. Oh, that's a bit off, but I'll get it when I go to paint it in. There's my shapes. Now I'll need a smaller sort of artisty brush, and I just need a paints behind me here. Just bear with me while I rattle through all my paint. Is this it here? Nope. Everything's a little bit
not quite sure where
not
the
quite
homes are.
sure where everything is right now. Oh, my green's on the table, Matt, and that's why I can't find it. Can you pass it over to me, darling? Thank you. Right, okay, so let's talk about this sort of tealy, greeny, grungy, whatever I'm doing next. So I'm just going to put it over here on this part of my palette. It won't matter if there's anything that mixes in. And feed of blue. I use this colour quite a lot, but I want a little bit more green than blue in this mix, I think. That's not going to paint that, is it? You need one for the centres, one for the edges. So a script brush for the edge and something to fill it in with. Yeah. But I'm just going to mix it with this yellow brush because it's not going to make any difference to me. I think I want a little bit more blue. Just leave my brush in the yellow. Oh, new stable, just as messy. Right. That's the colour I'm looking for, I think, for this. Just get rid of that and set that there. So this is my infiller brush. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fill all of these in. I probably, maybe because it's such a straight line, I'm probably not even need a filler brush for this. I could probably do it with this one, but sometimes I get things a little bit unstraight, Martin, don't I?
Sometimes, darling. Right, I like your description there.
What?
A little bit unstraight.
Well, what else would you say? Squid, wobbly, wonky. Any of those descriptions. Right, I'm going to go away, paint these in because you don't need to watch me paint these. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some colour around here, and we're going to put, do you know what, I'm going to be putting more diamonds down the bottom. So the template that I've just used, which I've now lost, here it is. I'm going to draw these diamonds here, and I'm going to paint them this colour down here as well, just so you know. So when you come back, there'll be diamonds up here and diamonds down there. Okay? Okay, so to achieve this look, I could have taken a liner and put black around each, but it would make it look too sharp, and this is supposed to look vintage. So what I've got is I've got a kind of just a medium sort of artist brush. It's kind of fluffy, it's a little bit done, but it's fine. And I've got down here on my palette, I've got some Athenian black. I'm just taking it, okay, watering it down. And then let's just take the shape here. I'm putting the black along the edges like this. I'm not doing too much, so I'm only going to do one side at a time. Bringing it down, cleaning my brush, so my brush is still wet. And then what I'm doing is I'm coming from the centre just to blend this out so it doesn't end up looking too black. And I'm just kind of like watercolouring that edge. It'll give the same look as it being highlighted, but it'll not make it look like it's been done so that it's so smooth that it doesn't work with what we're doing. So we'll do that. Yeah. So I'm going to do that around all of the diamonds just to highlight them off like that. I've done this one here already. As you can see, I left some of the diamonds. Oh, there's a big bit of paint there. Some of the diamonds, I didn't fully paint them in to make it look like it had been worn. Next thing I'm going to do is I've got some old ochre. I'm not using white, I'm using old ochre. And I'm going to be highlighting down here. But I want to keep this sort of creamy, dirty colour that I put underneath it as my... I need to get under here as well. So let's just rub that under there. And I'm just going to do that here, all the way along. And I'm going to paint up in here with the old ochre. But again, I'm going to leave some parts on purpose to make it look a bit worn. So, I mean, you could open your drawer at this point, but, you know, I like to live on the edge. So it wouldn't be worn up under there because there was no way it could get worn. But down the bottom here, yeah, you know, when people are going in and out of the drawers, because if this was a real sort of, oh, I'm taking it too far, I know I am, but it's just the way I kind of working it out in my head. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do this, finish this edge here. I will bring this cream colour down to just this join, right? So this will be cream, darkening up the edges, finishing this cream here and here, and we'll be back again in a minute. Okay, so I've done the other side and now we're going to do this side. It's always good if you're doing, well, it doesn't matter because you're probably, well, if you're doing YouTube videos, then I usually do one side so that I can get my eye in for the other side. So you're seeing me making less mistakes on this side.
That's the plan. Anyway.
That's the plan. Oh, what am I doing? I'm painting the wrong. Right, ignore what I just did there. Right, so I want to have checks coming down here. So, how did I do it before? These ones might be short because I think these are the top ones. I think these ones down here are the bottom ones. Righty-tighty. So, ignore the fact that I've just slapped a whole load of paint on there. First of all, I need to go down here, but I'm using one as my bridge between them all. So this, take the bridge out. And I said to you before, I really do use my masking tape over and over again. Sometimes it just isn't feasible and you have to get a new piece. But if you don't have to, I mean, like that bit there, I can see. Maybe if I move it over, I'll put it this way. No, I'm still going to think that's going to be no good. It has to span the whole of the... just put that bridge in there again. Move that one up. Use that one. See, it's pulled the paint off there. I don't know why. Must have been sticking there. I'm not deterred because I'm going for the distressed look. So I'll just leave that like that. On here. Now I'm just kind of placing them right now because I'll go back and I'll rub them in really tightly, especially if you're reusing the tape, because it gets less sticky and more edges maybe bounce up. That's the same. I don't know why I've done that. I'll just do some new ones for here. Break out some new ones. Steal my bridge out. I'm wanting just a kind of black, white, black, white, black, white, and this is the way I did it. I mean, oh,
Excuse me.
You're choking. You're right.
Yep.
Good. What am I doing here? Sometimes if you do the same thing over and over and over again, I forget what I'm actually doing. That's not, it's got a wee bit bigger, that one there, but right. So now what we're doing is we have to make sure that these are, because I didn't get much bleed through with the other side, but the tape was new. And sometimes if I do get any bleed through, I'll just fix it because I had a few fixes to do on the other side anyway, right? So that's all in. Then I took this piece and I put it on this side like that. So now you have to make sure that this is all submit down. Then you need your black paint. There's a wee bit of faffing around for this, but you get there in the end. So then I'd kind of tried to go the way of my masking tape is, so down, down and across, because then you're going to get less bleed through. Well, that's the plan, but as I said, I did have bleed through on the other side. I'm not great with masking tape. You see loads of people using and doing all these amazing things, but, well, I think it's because I'm not patient. If I asked Martin to put it on, it'd be perfect, I'm sure. Right. Isn't that right, Martin?
No.
Yes, it is.
That's all what you're doing.
Right. Oh, I can see that's not straight. That's just with the eye, straighten it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is whimsical. Right, I'm going to let that dry. And while that's drying, I am going to, since I just did that red, that was very naughty of me because I don't want that. I don't want red there. I mean white. I want the red. So I'm just going to kind of go like this just now when I can tidy that edge up. Now I'm going to put a bit more extra black in this because I did paint cream on there a minute ago. So with my red and my black, I'm just going round it now. Remember the upside edge, just in case anybody's ever sitting on the floor and looks at your furniture. Nobody's going to be looking at this because this is for me. I don't know if I've said this is for me. Did I say this was?
Did you at the start? Yeah.
Yeah, it's for my craft stuff in here. So I have another craft room in the house. But I keep bringing quite a few things out, and I thought I'll bring some of it out and I'll put it in this cupboard so that I've got it all on tap. Now I'm using a very small brush here. Don't ask me why that is the case. It's silly of me, really. Let's start that again. Being really silly. So blending your black and your red together. I might have to put a bit more red in that top part area where I put the cream first. I quite like to have a little dark patch going round the frame. And these frame patches here are going to be gold. Now, in my infinite wisdom, I thought this, I'll show you in a minute when I show you this side up, because this down here that I did cream, it looks much better black. So we can do that as well. Now, it doesn't matter how untidy it is right now, because the border and everything's going to fix this. So we've got that done. It's not very red up here because I put that cream on it, but I think I'm going to have to let it dry a bit before I put any more paint on it. It's just going to overload it and it's going to end up everywhere, and I don't want that. So, right, okay. While that's drying, because we need to do this part. Can you see this, just this little edge here? Because there's stripes up here. So we need to do this part first before we can put our stripes up here. So let's work on the door. What did I do? Okay, so I took you know how we had I just need to mix them up. We had the green and the feed of blue. Don't know why that isn't coming out. I think we're running low. I need to put a paint order in. Martin and I were just discussing it before, but I don't like putting my paint order in because it's a whole faff of filling up what you've got and then listing what you need, and I always make a mess of it. See, I do make a mess of it, Martin, so really I think you should be dealing with that.
I will.
Yeah.
Happy to.
I need to just put a little bit of blue in here. I thought I was prepared, but I wasn't.
We're quite a good team in that respect, aren't we?
Yeah. Well,
I like doing things like that. You hate doing things like that.
Well, I don't hate it. It's a bit strong, but I find that I just get a bit bored of it. Right, okay. So I have my greeny blue again, right? But I'm just going to use this brush just now, and I'm going to wet it a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub it here into this edge. Just going to wet my brush a little bit more. Yeah. It doesn't matter about the edges right now. I'm not focusing on them, and I will fix them, but we need to get this on first. So this, and then what I did was I need a sort of blendy brush. What I did was I then got the yellow and kind of put yellow in it. You can see my brush has got flakes of blue in it because I'm going to blend it into I filled here because I don't want that. I'll put a handle here. I don't want it in the middle of my decoupage. And I filled the keyhole as well because I think my person's going to go over the top of that. Right, okay, I think we're good to go now. Right, okay, I'm going to wet my brush a little bit. Now this is the yellow brush I'm using, and I'm wetting it a little bit, and we're going to tap into here. Just tap into it to begin with. It doesn't look good, but don't worry. Now, I'm going to start mingling some of this out. I'm focusing on the line as opposed to right, okay. I want to have a kind of grungy, not blendy sort of frame for my artwork, for my decoupage. So what I'm doing is I'm when I'll know when it's right because I'll stop tapping so hard and I'll just feathery stroke it in. There is going to be some some old ochre going over this in a minute, but I just want to make sure this line is a little bit more muted, a little bit less straight. I think I'm kind of getting there. Now I've got my white brush here and my white paint, and I'm gonna just mingle this into here now. And I'm focusing mostly on the centre, but I am going to go out. Right, that's me starting to move out now. And lightly, light, tap, tap, tap. Just wee light taps now. Not that, just wee light taps. To bring this into here. Now, that's how that should look. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to dry this red, this door, this black, so we can change the tape over and we can decoupage this frame and get the stencil on it before we decoupage it and stuff like that. So I'm going to go away and dry it because that's the next thing we need to do. Right, it's dry. So carefully unpick your long one first, right? I'm going to keep that chip in there because I like it. I wish I could have more of these, but we'll see at the end whether I can maybe manufacture some. Sticky tape there and start pulling off these ones. These ones go on top of those ones. So this one goes on top of this one. Yeah? And this one goes on top of this one. And you just move them down on the top of the one previous. Like so. I think I'll have to try and do that up there in a minute. There, this one on top of this one. Now I'm sure you can do much more complicated things like this, but I don't tend to do too many checks. It's not something I'm going to be missing one. I'm going to have to do that for there. Right, okay, so get your tape and you are putting your tape on the opposite side. Now, it really helps if you can see your squares underneath, but my masking tape has been used so many times that you can't. So I'm just kind of guessing. And it's not straight at the bottom, so I'm just going to pinch a bit off of here. That's what you get for being tight. Right, okay. They're on there now, and we're going to get our black again. And we're going to just do the same thing as we did before. If I take this, because it's a tape worth up here, and I stick this here, it just keeps my line straight for up there as well, because it's stripy up there. Is that right? Yes, it is. So let's just start up there. I think there'll be bleed through in this one. My tape is not the stickiest. And I'm going to change this frame part here that's cream currently to gold, and you'll see why when I start doing the work. I haven't even started doing the work yet. This is just just setting the scene. Whatever kind of things I'm doing on the front, I will do on the sides because I think this is going to be quite a long video. I've got a feeling. Hey, Marty.
Yep.
So we've got this thing now that the way that YouTube loads up, if Martin can edit it better, if it's on under an hour, and my videos are never under an hour, apart from last week was an anomaly, but I'd quite like to do it for him, but he said it didn't matter.
It don't.
So you understand this rim down the bottom here is going to be black too. I'm not going to paint it in because I'm working up here, but it's just so you know that's what I'm going to do with that. Right, okay, so let that dry just now. This part up here is exactly, this one here is a little bit off because I had to try and measure it to try and work with these. So it's just the same. You put your one in the middle and one there. Take your one out the middle and then work your way along so you get your stripes. That's all you do, like that. So you get that concept and then you just paint those in like you did down below. Probably better than job than I'm doing right now. Just tuck that under there. Right, okay, so I'm not going to do any more of these because you know what we'll get to the good parts now. Just let me finish that though, because I'll forget. Right, okay. So I've got this on here now, which is our sort of mustardy yellow with our white and our blue. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to grab this stencil, and I didn't even use a stencil brush for the other side because I don't know why they're sitting beside me, but I had this on my brush, so I just ran with it. So I think I kind of started about here, but I don't think they have to be the same. And I just ran this in here. And this is just the old ochre by itself. The old, I don't know what I was trying to say there, but yeah, it's the old,
called, isn't it?
old ochre. I know, but I went old because I thought, no, maybe, I thought maybe it's not old ochre. Right, okay. Flip that away and bring it. What I tend to do is join the next one up, and then you know you're onto something. If you don't feel comfortable just holding your stencils, by all means use tacky spray or tape. But as we've established, I like to live life in the fast lane, eh, Matty?
Yes, darling.
Oh yeah. Put that in here. I'm not really even bothering if they're straight or I get all of it in, because I'm looking for, now when I went to the other side, I did a few, I don't know what I did there, I must have went a little bit over. I did a few more on the outside, and I kind of like just let them fade away. I didn't do them solid on this outside edge. So just something like that will do nicely. There we go. Right, okay. So I've got that. I need to go and quickly dry this, and then we're going to put a decoupage on. Before I go and put my decoupage on, I am breaking my #1 golden rule that I would never ever do if I was selling a piece of furniture, but I'm not selling this. I'm keeping it myself. And actually, I'm doing myself a little test here. I'm not applying my moulds onto the decoupage, but I'm applying them onto paint. And I always think that's a big no, no, no. But anyway, I've got them here, and I'm just, as I said, living my life in the fast lane today. And I've got my gold paint, and this is from the Acanthus scroll mould. And I've got a few others, and they are from the, I don't know, sat the moulds. I'll tell you in a minute. I sat the moulds to the side so I could remember.
Fleur de Lis or something like that.
Oh, Fleur de Lis is the other one. That I take some of the. Sorry, I'm just trying to move my knee. Oh, my knee surgery has been delayed. It was supposed to be the 23rd of the last month, but it's been delayed, so I still don't have any sign of it getting done, and it's getting worse and worse. So I'm hoping that I'll get it soon. Martin's doing me a real huge favour right now. He's sitting so tight behind me that he's actually holding me up with his knee. Don't move, Martin, or I'll go flying. So I'm just painting these in gold, and these are from the Acanthus scroll mould, and I've got a few of these, not many. I'm not covering this plate thing in moulds, but I'm putting moulds on, so that's all I'm doing. And I'll dry these off as well before I come back, so that these are dry and we can do a decoupage. Okay? Okay, so this is how it's looking now, and it's dry. I've taken the tape off the back checks here, and I've lined up my tape up here for my black stripe. Done. Okay, decoupage paper's going on here now, and this is what I have chosen. She's going to go on here now. She's going to lose a little bit. I'm going to have to put her feet down the bottom and her bougie hat up the top. So let's just take this piece of tape away for a minute, just so I know where I'm cutting. Yeah, about here and here and here. Now, if you're doing something like this, save those pieces. Isn't it typical? Oh, no, here they are. And just cut them and set them to the side because I'm going to reapply them. So here, here, and here. Just those tiny little pieces, but they'll make it better when you... Now, set it on a flat surface and you just Mod Podge it. Now, can I just say that I did not cut these out? Marty did. Didn't you, Marty?
I did.
Marty has been fussy cutting all my little pieces and parts that I want to stick onto the furniture. And the other day when we were doing the wall and the flowers, we were cutting them out with scissors, and Marty said, oh, I think I'd be better and quicker if I had a blade and a cutting mat. So a blade and a cutting mat arrived yesterday and I put it away because I was thinking I'm never going to use that. But then today here we are and we're cutting out, and so he's used his mix mat. Now we know this has to go to the top, so let's pop her there. All right. So, all right, now she's going to hold something because her hands are a wee bit dodgy. There we go. And she is on. Nice. Whoops. Dodgy hands are sticking up. There we go. There we are. Now, we need to do the little pieces in parts. So here's our hat first. And I just okay. I'm going to have to kind of shorten it. So put the bulb in here and do this, and then cut the cupboard because it's just too... Oh, the balls came off. Let's see if I can put that back on. Let's put it up and over on here. And I'll touch up those little white edges where it's been cut. Everything looks good with her, and our little toes, our feet. Let's get them on. So I think this is one. She's going to have extra long feet now. And this is the other part.
I don't think it needs it.
No, I don't think it needs it. Okay. Now, I'm going to take, because I want it to match the other one. Now, this is concave, which means that you have to work a little bit harder at gluing your molds on. So one's going to go this way, and this one is going to go this way. Yeah? Oh, yeah, I think so. Right, so you need an O'Neill's glue, and as I said, I am putting this onto painted surface, which I wouldn't generally do, but here I am doing all the things that I wouldn't normally do. Maybe I'm just being... I don't know. I think the jury's out. I just don't think you should be applying them, really. I don't mind doing it if it's for me or wall art, but I always have that worry that the paper, if it's on paper or paint, it just chips off and the mold comes off with it. For a customer, for me, I'm okay. And I thought to myself, well, I'll be able to tell. I'll test this. So I'm using a glue that dries clear, but I want to make sure that I've done my cleanup really well, because I have used so many brushes today. I don't know why. Clean up. No wonder my jeans look the way they do.
I have the same problem.
Yeah, we both do. We both are always doing things to our jeans. And then we go out shopping in them. I think this brush has got a little bit of red in it. Right, okay, so Let's clean up for there. And my other one is going to go up like this. Oh, you can see it wasn't quite dry in the back, this one. Better be careful. Again, see, I've dropped it twice already. More glue. I'm adding quite a lot. Just because of the nerves I have with this. So that's why I'm having to do a little bit more cleanup than normal. Because I'm putting quite a lot of glue on. I better make sure I get this up where the glue touched it. So, quite a lot of cleanup here. Let's just go around this first and get rid of this. I'm just going to get some water a bit closer. Wash this again. There we go. Right. Okay, so that, it's rubbing the gold. Right, okay, I'm not going to keep rubbing that just now. Okay, so there's a little white part there that I keep looking at it and it's displeasing me. So I'm wondering if I can just deal with that because I don't like it. Yeah, right, okay. So I've got my black line to go along here, which I showed you. Oh, look, her toes. To make sure that her toes, I have to also make sure that I cut that with a blade up there. I'm going to go around this a little bit in red. I've stuck one of these up on this corner, so I'm just going to put all the moulds on and then I'll show you what I've done on the front. I've put a couple of moulds on the front. I didn't cast a huge amount, but I did, I did enough that I thought, move that one just now. I just yanked down. And again, push really hard and deal with your cleanup. Wet your brush. Dry it off a little bit and repeat that process until you have it, and that'll dry up nice and clear in there and it's nice and good to go. It's swiping a little bit of gold because I think there must be some not dried gold on the back, but I don't think I'm going to be worrying about it, so because I need to give this another coat of red. So what am I doing now? I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to do the black. Oh, what I did do was, I can give that another coat of red in a minute. I got a teeny tiny brush. Teeny tiny brush, where are you? Don't tell me I'm going to have to find another teeny tiny brush.
Is it in the water?
Water?
Yeah. The other one.
That's the one, Martin. That is the teeny tiny brush. I got the gold and the teeny tiny brush, and I am making a nice wee gold rim around here. Yeah, I'm going to cut through her feet. I'm just going to leave that to there because I'll blend a little bit of colour in there. It is starting to come together. Well, some of it is. This will just give it a wee kind of level of bouginess, but also I'm still putting it on quite distressed. I'm not kind of like it's not my life's work. See, when it's gone on there, I'm not bothered. I think it kind of just works with what I'm doing. Oh, maybe not as much as that. Hang on a minute. So the gold's going to go on here. The gold's going to go around this drawer here. I'm going to make that gold. Yeah. And I've got a peg holding it on this mold because this is concave. And what's this, Martin?
Convex.
This is convex, so it's going the opposite way. This is going in, this is going out. And I put a peg on this one because this mold here really didn't want to stick because it's going that way. So let's apply the same one on this side. Let me just check I've got it right. That would be
That's the other one.
this one, yeah. I was going to get there. No, that's not the right one. It's this smooth one that I need, that I've glued on here. Hang on, see if I can remove it. Oh, man. Right. Okay, to Japan people. See, if these things happen to everyone. It's got so much glue in it, I don't think I need to... Yeah. Right, okay, but I need the peg for this side again to peg this together to glue it. And then we'll do this. And there'll just be going to be a little bit of... How did I do the other one? Because it didn't really seem to matter. See, I would have had it going that way. But I've got, oh, the heck. Right, okay, I don't think there's a thing of panicking here. But we need something smooth. So let's just go along here like this. Across our paint finish and get this off. Right, okay, and scrape the glue off. Something smooth always works when you've done a boo-boo. See, I'm showing you how to fix the boo-boos. Oh, creepy hands are on show again.
The other one of her was much better.
What other one?
I did two of her, didn't I?
It's fine. It's just the way they've been cut out, Martin. It's fine. You've done a lovely job. I'm not putting these on to hide your hands. I'm putting these on because I wanted them on. You've done a fantastic job. There we go. We'll do that. How does that look, Martin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? It's fine. Don't you worry. Don't worry about a thing. Here and here. So there you go. Another mistake there. Another rookie mistake. And I showed you how to fix it. If you've got things in your craft stash, like, you know, old credit cards or the gift cards you get in shops, those, you know, anything that's scrapey, they always fix quite a lot of messes if it's a glue mess. I mean, you've noticed I instantly knew what to do.
They're also really good for getting ice off your windscreen.
They are. There you go. That's it. We're a channel for all here. Yeah, Martin, you're right. Yeah. Now I'm just going to wash this brush so that I can do this again. I feel like deja vu. Right, you don't need to see me clean this up again because you've already seen me do it once. I think I've hurt your feelings, Martin. I think
no,
you
you
think
haven't.
I just looked at her hands once we cut out and I went, oh, because her hands didn't look as creepy.
It was the background.
I know.
It was on a black background.
I
and
could
the
see.
Hands were really dark.
When I looked at it, I went, oh.
In the end, I was like, oh, whatever.
I was like, when I saw it, I went, oh, she had such cute hands. And look at them now. They look like witchy hands, but it's all good. We're going to come along and put a little bit of...
but what I'm saying is that the other one was a much better job. You
well, we'll see.
That one, didn't you?
We'll see, because they're going on the sides. And if it's equally as creepy, we'll be judging you, Matt, and we'll be judging your hand cutouts. Right, okay. So I'm pretty much, because I've been at this all day, I'm getting to the stage where I've got a few more molds. They're down here, which I think I'm going to apply. Like I've got these two, which Martin thought were stars. They're actually flowers, but I wasn't going to go there with them. And I'm going to maybe put these here and here, because I think that will be quite nice. A bit of a flourish. And I've got two hearts. And I might put those there. And I've got one fleur de lis left. I think I might put this one below this one. Yeah. With my hearts up there. Yeah, so I'm just going to glue these onto the front of the furniture. Finish off my black. Give this another coat of red. Put my gold round. And my feet are going to be the bluey green. The bluey green colour. So, oh no, that's sitting in the paint. I'll just show you. The feet are going to be this colour. Now, the feet are going to have a pattern on them, but this is the colour they are going to be. So just to give you an idea of the direction we're going in, this is the colour. Yeah, I won't be painting down the bottom. I'll do something with that, make it a different colour. But this gives you an idea of it coming together. It is coming together, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been, this one's quite labour intensive. the sides will be pretty much what I've done here, so I won't be showing you me. There's just flat sides. I'll be doing the same this on the sides, probably not with the molds because I don't want molds everywhere on it. And the top, I bought a big Harlequin stencil that I'll put on the top, and I think we'll do these little girls on the top as well. Okay, so that's it for just now. Now, it looks like you missed some things, but you haven't really. I'm just going to walk you through them. I still need to very tidily tidy up these squares because they're a little bit crude looking. Off camera, I put a white spot all the way around here and the white spots round here. I said beforehand I was going to go and glue on my molds, which I've done, right? I had a circus sign. Now, I know you didn't get to see me adhere that because it was on the spur of the moment thing and I wanted to try it because they weren't the right colours, and so I had to kind of paint round it and things. To distress it, I crumpled it up and wet it, and if you think it's not distressed enough, if you get a little bit of masking tape, that just kind of pulls off the paint in some areas and gives it quite a sort of distressed look. So I've done that there. These gold spots I left a little bit to show you, and I just put these down the bottom here on here with my gold paint like that. That's all I did for the gold spots. You haven't missed anything else. We're now at the right place where we need to be because I said in the last footage I'd paint the legs blue, and I did, and they've had 2 coats of paint. So I'm going to do one leg on camera and I will show you the rest. But basically this gold line down here that you can see on this foot here, I painted the feet, the red and the black together, and I put the gold line round, and I saved one over here, but I don't know why I saved the one away over here. But literally, sorry Matty, it obviously made sense to me in when I did it, but literally I just painted along this edge of the foot with the gold. Yeah, so that's all I did to there, just so you know and you're not out of kilter of what I've done. So that's got to happen on all 4 sides, and we're about to do this here on this leg. Yeah, so all I did was with my colours, because it's the yellowy mustard I need, so got some yellow on my palette and the same purple as I was using. I haven't got something to stir this with. Yes, I have. Just need to stir this because it's from the can. This one is very thin. I said this before, so you need to keep stirring it. I think it's just chalk at the bottom needs dispersed through. So I'm going to put some of the purple into this. It actually smells a bit funky. I'm not quite sure. Right, okay. So I've maybe overdone it. No, I haven't. This is perfect. And obviously where my masking tape was, I just did 3 lines, which gives us 2 stripes when removed, just like that. I'm kind of rattling through all these little things because you'll probably develop what you think you want as you go, but I still have the top to do. So I did go on and do what I said I was going to do with the sides, because the sides are just exactly the same as here. So they've been done. Right, so this is going on here and here. I'll just do this one quickly as well. And, oh, that's going to be a bit bleed through because I felt it pull my tape down. More to fix. Right, okay. Fabulous. Now, imagine that this was dry, but it isn't dry. It's wet. I'm just going to stick this. Pull that off. I don't know why that there's not a straight. Let me just deal with this here a minute, because that's not very nice. There we go. And remove this one here from here. Again, I don't think that looks super straight either. Maybe it was something to do with my eye. Now, I've got the same stencil that I used up here, but I'm using it this way around instead, okay? And I'm using the cream, which is called the Old Ochre, and just get a stencil brush, and I'm just going to dip my brush in a little bit of that yellow, just a little bit, so that it's not too glaringly obvious. Oh, look at this brush. Oh, this isn't going to work. Hang on a minute. 1 minute while I just roll around the floor. Try that again. So a little bit of this yellow and a little bit of this cream. And I just kind of held it sort of centre-ish. Now again, if you feel you're going to wobble around a bit, then feel free to tape it. And all I did was I went down the front of my legs, like this. You have to be a bit like an octopus to do this. Oh gosh, I moved it there at the end. It was that hair that was okay, so I've got fixes to do there.
Got a spot in the second one now as well.
A spot? Oh, so I have. That's my finger. Well, thanks for pointing out
That's all right, darling.
my mistakes. It's fine, Maren. You just, keep me right there. Got a better grip of this one this time. Right, okay, so that goes right down to the bottom, and to fit in the bottom, I just joined it back onto there and went down to the bottom. And once I did that, now I'm going to have to touch up this little area here. There's always something, but the touch-ups are important. I'm just putting a little bit of my blue and a little bit of my green on my palette so that I can get that colour. And just touch up those parts there. Now I'm going to have to... Oh, can you believe that? You probably can. Right, okay, let's try and fix all of that now. I'm just going to tidy that up off camera so you can see that it's nice and tidy. Then I got a yellow, I don't actually think it is yellow, I think it's called ochre, an ochre Posca. I'm not going to do it up here where it's damp, and I just went and did... Oh, you're yawning, Maren. I've been working hard today. Yellow on each side of the little diamond shape. Now, because I'm sorry, there's a hair in there as well. Oh. This will all be tidy the next time you see it. You're just getting it as it comes. Where my stencil didn't quite come out and it's worn, I still did my circle. So we're going to be doing that down the leg. And then all I did was I got my red and my little bit of black. Make sure I'm putting black here. Yeah. And I just clean my brush. I did a red stripe. And I just eyeballed it. I just went straight across it like that. And here. And then when that was dry, I just put a cream stripe in it, did my gold round the feet, and that is the treatment that the legs are getting. Yeah? On the sides, did they have the same on the side? Yeah, they did. They did. Right, okay. Now, back up here to the top. So I stuck this on, I did my white spots up there, and I just kind of roughly got a liner brush and did some white. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of take the reddy black, but with more black yeah, on a quite wet brush. But you're going to need another one to kind of give it a bit of a schmooze. I'm just going to put a wee bit of a shadow in and out. So in to the gold line and out, in and out. And if you feel like, see there where I've gone over too much of the gold leaf, you can actually make that one a little bit darker. There you go. It doesn't matter if the shadow goes on the gold leaf either. This is just kind of, I don't really want to dark wax this because I don't want it to get too dark. So I'm putting all the effects on with paint. So that's just where my hinge is. Just the red and the dark colour, just to kind of, oh, maybe not as much as that. I think it's got a little bit too much. Let's just, you kind of need two brushes for this. One to do your shadow area thin and thick, and one to kind of blend it back. And this will just make it sit out a bit and give it a wee bit of shadow. I did the same on the other side. And that corner there isn't very neat, so we'll just put a little bit of the black a little bit thicker up in there. And we'll just swipe this down with our dry brush. Now, with the red and our black, we want to go round here where it's been fussy cut, where there's a tiny little white edge, just to kind of give that a wee bit of a shadow. This again is going to need a tidying up, and you're going to have to do all your tidying up bits at the end, and that's what I'm planning to do. So I think we're pretty good for that. Now, I also, if you get an even smaller brush, probably this sort of size, quite tiny, we're doing the same sort of thing on our girl, but we're going to head towards the more purpley colour. So where I put the purple on my palette, we're just going to give her, it needs to be a wee bit darker than that. Try putting a tiny bit black in it. We're just going to give her a little bit of a shadow all the way around, and then schmooze it with our hands. That's just kind of getting all areas that maybe there is a bit of white on the, but also it's going to help her sit back a little bit. Just that's all I'm doing. These are the little parts that take the time, but you just think they needed it. So I'm going to go around her and do her like I did on the other side, and just wipe that and give her a little bit of a, it's just kind of fuzzying her up a bit and making her look like she's got a bit of a shadow behind her. Any bits where you think it's a little bit ripped, and those sort of, well, I don't want to call them creepy fingers again, because Martin, I think, got upset.
You are.
But Martin got upset when I said he hadn't fussy cut it nicely. So I'll just kind of maybe do something like that there. Right. Okay, so I'm not going to show you much more of this. You can see what I'm doing. I'm literally just putting a wee bit of a something round her, like that, or him, her, I don't know. Not quite sure. Around here, because I can see it's needing a little bit dark around here. So you can see what I'm doing, and you're going to take your time over this. You're not going to do it as fast as I did. And obviously as well, we need a little bit of kind of up and around. That was a bit much. To bring out, and as I said, that was why I was kind of working on the purple. It's a bit lighter on the other side, so let's just bring. I want to try and eradicate her hands. Don't be paranoid about it. You can see what I'm doing. I'm just pulling from the purple down on my palette that is more purple than mustard from when I mixed it. So this one's a bit more gold, so I just want to put a little bit more of this. This is a bit more red now. There's never a happy medium. You're not such a fan of what you've just done, i.e. what I've just done, you can just schmooze that back a bit. There. So she's got a bit of a shadow going on around her flourishes, and I'm happy with that. That is all that is pretty much done now. The front is done, the sides are done. I've got these legs to finish, but I can finish those off camera. So I'm going to set my camera up and we're going to go up onto the top and we're going to get the top done super fast. Okay, using the same colour combinations, the purple and the yellow, the blue and the green, the red and the black, and the cream on its own. We're going to do the top first. There's decoupage that's going to go over the top of that and a bit of stenciling. But we need to kind of set the seam like we did for our doors down the bottom. So let's start with the blue and the green first. I'm going to try and do blue and green around this edge, and red and the dirty sort of black colour around this edge, and the yellow and the cream in the middle. That is the plan. Whether it ends up that way, who will know? So I'm doing this, but I have to be mindful when I get round the front that I'm not touching up with the artwork. Now, if you think your brush is a bit dry, give it a squish of water. Not too much, but, you know, a little bit. The more water as well, that will help with blending. This is where you have to be kind of careful of your artwork on the front. I'm not going to go too far. I think kind of like probably to about half with the blue and then half with the red. So, but it doesn't need to be precise. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Let's just catch up with this edge here. And there we go. Now, with a different colour of brush, we're going to be wanting, and I want this brush quite wet, so let's give this a squish. We're going to be putting our sort of, more of our sort of creams in the middle. Now this will be the same for both sides, it just will be doing red on the other. So it's just, there's kind of a big lot of kind of lumpy parts there. Hopefully I can get decoupage over the top of that and it'll look okay. So there's our cream. Now we're going in with our purple and our yellow. Let's kind of bring this out here. A whole load of banging and tapping right now until we get to the blendy stage. Now, I'm going to put a bit more water on my brush now, and let's see what we can do when it comes to getting this blended in. Okay, now let's just kind of, we're bringing the green, the blue down into the yellow first. So let's do this. You'll know when it starts to come together, and this is just a matter of giving it a little bit of a time to come together. You notice I'm not spraying the piece. Right, I'm going to come back and finesse this in a minute. I just want to get round here where my paint's reasonably still wet. Not that it dries hugely that much in the stable. Oh, it's not the stable now, it's the studio. You know where I am.
It's a stable.
New space, different name. It's not a stable, there's never been a horse in here. Right, I didn't really want that big blue line down the middle there, but we'll pat that away in a minute. Right, okay, I am going to take another blendy brush. I'm just going to treat this as a sort of neutral brush. And let's just tickle this now. I want to be tickling it, not patting it really, really hard. You can tell that my banging noise has stopped. Now, like on the front, I don't want a big solid line, straight line, so let's kind of work on this line first. Just want to soften it up and bring it in a little bit, make it quite cloudy. This is just the kind of background for the artwork really, but it is equally as important as any other part, and it's worth taking your time over. Just gently, gently, gently. If you feel you need a little bit more water in your brush, pop it on. There's a brush here, there. Stay for hair everywhere. Now, let's just soften this a bit more up here. and bring it down into the yellowy purple mix. Bringing it down, bringing it down, bringing it down. Here's a bit kind of no man's land here at the moment. Now, what I'm going to do next is I am going to start kind of working on, I'm going to pat now because I don't want those arc shapes that my brush is leaving. Can you see that archy shape? I don't want that. Can you see them there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not wanting that. I want to make it look like it is actually blended in. And that's just a matter of changing the way that you pad your brush down onto your paint. Now, once we get to here, we're going to need another brush, maybe nothing as big this time, to bring our cream into, I don't know where all the molten hairs are coming from. We're going to bring this colour into the creamy colour. And you can tell I'm really working it now, padding it, because you can tell by the noise that my brush is making. You'll know when I start to blend it, because I've said this a few times on my videos, it becomes quiet. So I'm still blending it right now. Don't know where all these hairs are coming from, but it's driving me crazy.
Need some new brushes, darling.
I do.
Oh, funnily enough, you've got some arriving tomorrow, haven't you?
Yeah, tomorrow in the studio for me is going to be like Christmas, because I haven't been getting Martin to purchase things because of the move. So I needed like all the staples like DAS and all that kind of stuff.
That's some Mod Podge
Yeah,
and brushes and
got all
stencils
that
and
coming.
paint and
But I've also got other things coming, like a jelly plate, because I want to try doing some printing to try and put onto my furniture. You know, create things to fuel the creative mind. So that's all. Oops, wrong brush there.
we should do an unboxing video.
Nobody needs to see me with my giddy pants on. There. Now, that's how it's going to be looking on this side. And you can bring this really, the pale out as far as you want. But on this side, I'm going to have a whole new set of brushes again. I'm going to be doing the black and the red. So you saw what I did on the other side with the blue. On this side, coming round, it's going to be the red. But it's the same, absolutely same deal. I'll be putting the yellow, the mustard and the yellow into the centre here. And then I'm going to be trying to make them both work, which will be interesting.
It will.
Yeah. I'll stop the camera, and when it comes back to me, once my paint's laid down, we'll come back and we'll see how I manage to make them all look cohesive, okay? Okay, so using a bigger form Harlequin stencil, we're pretty much doing what we did on the doors in the front, but just on a larger scale. We do want it to go into the colour of the edges just slightly. Now you can reverse this around. You can put all your colours in the middle, yeah? You can then stencil it and then put your dark edge on. I'm just doing it this way because it's the way I've done it on the front. So then you just get your stencil brush, and I'm not wanting to make it too heavy up in here. So let's just make sure that none of these are too heavy. And then you're just swirly, twirly, swirly, twirly in all over the top of the piece. And then once I've done that and it's dry, we've got a bit of decoupage because we've got some of the wee clowns to put on the top. And then we are on to sealing and we will be done. Just moving it along. I've got a little bit of card here to offload. Oh, that's offloaded on the piece. I can fix that in a minute. Now again, we're coming down here to this edge and we're just kind of, some we want a little bit thicker, some we just want a little suggestion. This is the part that will make it look quite good when it's done. So I'm just going to work my way along like I did on the front, all the way along the piece, just to about this edge here. I'm not taking it right to the edge, obviously, because I want that sort of detail. Okay, I'll get on and do this now. Okay, so I've done the harlequin on the back, and this is the sort of spacing I'm looking for. I'm not going to make you watch me glue all this on because you've seen me do it in the front, but I just want to show you how I'm aging off the signs. And this is a good way if you want to age your Made by Marley paper. Just give it a good rub, because what happens is it takes, see what's happened? Suddenly now it looks vintage and old, whereas before it didn't. So, but the same rules apply. I've got a bit of paper here to do this on. I'll just get a brush. You're still applying it, but you don't really want the wrinkles usually in this. And when you put this on, and if you feel you do want a lot of wrinkles, I recently have been spraying the front and the back to get that really wrinkled look. I've been really playing around with texture with my paper, so that's it. It's got it all on, nice and covered. I want it sort of reasonably kind of centered, so let's just call that quits there. Now, even though you've rubbed all those wrinkles in it, when you smooth it down, it's another hair. I've been plagued by hair. I don't know whether it's because of moving stables, but I've been plagued by a whole load of hair. Now, that's that. So we already can see that has aged it just by rubbing it around in your hands. And you can do that with all Made by Marley paper. It gives it a really interesting, good look if that's the look you're going for. I'm going to glue the girl and the boy down, and once I've done that, I'll show you one of these. I've got lots of little stars which Marty generously fussy cut out for me, and I'm going to be applying these, not too many because I want them on the front and the sides as well. So I'm just going to be picking areas to apply these. I had to actually hand make these colours of stars to go with the piece. There was lots of other stars, but none that was going to work. I've got them in varying sizes as well, so just make sure again it's all covered up, and you've got it pressed down into your piece. And I am going to be applying these. I'm also going to be doing this on the front, on this panel here, a few on here, and a few on here, and a few on the sides. And once I've done that, it's to see me coming back. I think I'll actually have to come back. I'm going to be darkening up these edges. I'll come back one last time to show you what I'm going to be doing with the handles. You can see this top part and how I'm going to just darken up this edge. Okay? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I've got a little bit of black on here, because remember I said I don't really want to use a lot of dark wax, and a big blendy brush just to give myself a little bit of a shadow all the way around. I'm going to be doing this all around it like that, and just shadowing it out with my blending brush, just to give it a little bit of depth and just to kind of finish it off nice. So what else did I do when I was off camera? So I had handles that I wasn't really very fussed on. So what I did was I painted them gold, and I just applied the stars onto there. So that's another thing that's been done. It is finished now. It just needs a coat of sealant, and we'll get the video finished. Okay, well, it's done. Was it difficult to do? Not really, just time consuming. Just a time consuming piece, because you're clearly always thinking of the distressy vintage look that you're trying to achieve. The creepy, my son called them the creepy clowns, will be part of our channel. Our private channel members will be able to get the circus paper if they want it. What was difficult about this? Nothing really. It's got a lot of gold on it. I did put my molds over my paint, we'll see. I will feed back to you the first time they come off and say, this is mine. So I could literally do whatever I wanted to it. And I think that's the nice thing, because I get to own this at the end of the day, which is lovely. Would I create something like this again? Almost definitely. I loved doing it. I really did enjoy this one. Great fun to do. And really just things you kind of need. You need a couple of molds, or one mold even, really. You need some gold paint. You need a kind of Harlequin stencil, unless you're going to hand paint those all in. If I'd had all the time in the world, I probably would have done, but it makes it quicker. And you just need some images that you are free to use and sell on your furniture. That's it. So, Martin, what do you think about today's?
I think this is a brilliant piece. I love it. I really do.
It'll be really nice in here.
It's for the studio as well, isn't it? So it's gonna see it all the time. We're gonna live with it, and I think it's when you walk in the door and you see that.
It'll be the first thing you see when you walk in the door, because this is where my crafts list is going to be. So
brilliant. I love it.
I've got one more big piece of furniture that I want to do for the studio, but it's an Alice in Wonderland piece, and I don't want to have two whimsical pieces in a row. So we'll break it up with something unusual for next week, and then I'll do my other big piece, just so that I can move my furniture around. But it's worth seeing. I got the new Redesign by Prima Alice in Wonderland transfers, and I thought, I haven't done anything with those, so I thought that'd be quite good. See if I can do something completely unique with those, and that's where Martin's tools are going to be kept. Then after that, there should be no more furniture.
Because my workbench isn't beautiful enough.
It's not really.
No.
It's not really. It's not. Do you know what? It's not that it's not beautiful, because it is actually a beautiful piece of wood, and I think Martin should keep it. It's just not practical, because it's just the workbench with no space underneath it, and he's got a lot of tools just for the furniture. So I think somewhere where we can hide it. So there's a big sort of old sort of sideboard that's going to be done for that. Anyway, I'm digressing. Right, we will see you next week, lovely Martin and I. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.